So it's a great time for technology. We have new CPUs, we have new GPUs, we have new gaming consoles. We cannot get our hands on any of these things. If you're watching this video, there's probably a CPU or a GPU or a gaming console that you'd like to buy. And I got bad news for you. They're sold out everywhere, and probably for a while. We're not only competing with each other, it's not only other gamers and other tech enthusiasts that are buying these things, but there is a relentless set of bots and scalpers that are just eating up all of the inventory as soon as it comes onto market. So we're not going to beat the bots or the scalpers unless we collectively all decide to not pay scalper prices. And that's probably not going to happen. So what I have for you are some hints and tips on how you can outsmart the bots, outpace your fellow gamers, and possibly get your hands on a new CPU, GPU, or gaming console. Tip number one is be ready to purchase it. And I don't mean emotionally or financially, although you should do those things as well. What I mean is identify what vendors are going to have your card, make sure that your account's created, that there's no two-factor authentication waiting for you, there's no blocks on your account, make sure that your billing information and your shipping information are all filled in. If the vendor offers like a one-click to buy option, make sure you get that all set up and ready to go. Because even if you make it in time, if you get to the site before the bots and the scalpers have already taken up all the inventory and you manage to get one of these items in your cart, it's not yours. That doesn't reserve your stock. You have not bought that item until you have checked out and the money has left your bank. And even then, there's been occasions where they've pulled back, returned your orders, and refused to ship you the item that you successfully purchased on their sites. So now you've identified the sites, you've bookmarked the links, your account's all set up, you're ready to go, you're ready to buy the thing. Don't forget the apps. Because a lot of times there's so much traffic that the site may crash, but the app may still be working, or vice versa. Maybe the app goes down, but the site is still working. So be prepared to buy either way, either via app or on the websites. Tip number two is to subscribe to stock alerts. And there are a number of services that provide stock notifications. I have a couple that I'd like to recommend. The first is an app called Hotstock, and it's definitely for iOS. I think they have an Android version as well. You tell Hotstock what you want. Say you want an Ampere 3070. You tell it which vendors you want to be notified for, and then you'll get a notification on your phone whenever it detects stock. I was checking for stock for a 5800X, and it told me that Amazon had it in stock. I went out to Amazon, I refreshed the page, still not in stock. What's going on? I refreshed a few more times, 30, 45 seconds later, it was there and available for purchase. So the app knew that stock was coming in before my web browser did, before the content even reached my location. And there's probably reasons for that. There's probably global caching and content delivery networks and stuff like that that have to sync up. But the fact that the app knew before I could even tell was pretty amazing. The bad thing about Hotstock is that you can only watch one item on their free tier. If you wanted to watch multiple items, you'd have to subscribe to their service. And one item means one AIB, one variation on a model. So you can't say, I want to find any RTX 3080. You have to say, I want this specific AIB RTX 3080, and that's your one free item. The second stock alert service I'd like to recommend is ZooLert. My wife found ZooLerts back when the pandemic was first getting started and you couldn't find things like toilet paper and disinfectant. So ZooLerts was telling her when those things came in stock on various online retailers. They've expanded to include electronics as well as these gaming peripherals we're talking about, CPUs, GPUs, and gaming consoles. The great thing about ZooLerts is that you sign up through the website. You don't need an app, you don't need to pay anything. They will send you text notifications when an item comes in stock. So you don't, again, no notifications required. You can get this on any device. And text notifications are fairly quick, usually within 30 seconds to maybe a minute of the text notification going out. I've seen it on my Verizon phone. One of the cool features about ZooLerts is that when you search for an item, let's say an RTX 3070, it'll show you all of the AIBs, all the variations on that model. And you can pick and choose which you want to get alerted for. So let's say I'm interested in, an Asus or a PNY, but not necessarily an MSI or something like that. I can tell it to only alert me on those specific AIBs, all from this one easy to use search. The third suggestion I have is to set up in-house alerts. So instead of having a service ping a website and then notify you when it detects some stock, you can have your browser do that itself. So using a Chrome plugin called Distill, you can go to the web page of an item that you'd like to monitor. You tell Distill to watch the page and pick out specific telltale items on that page that indicate low stock or no stock. For instance, on the Best Buy site, the Add to Cart button turns into a Sold Out button when they don't have inventory. So you tell it to watch that Sold Out button. When it turns to anything other than Sold Out, Distill will alert you. And you can have Distill check as frequently or as infrequently as you like. Now, be warned, Distill is using Chrome on your PC to check those web pages. If you don't have Chrome running, Distill isn't running. If you run too aggressively, you open yourself up to things like IP bans or bot detection algorithms at the vendors, and they can shut you down. So I wouldn't be too aggressive, maybe a couple of minutes between checks. And you can set some randomization, so you can say check anywhere from 60 seconds to 240 seconds or something along those lines. Now the bad thing about Distill is that since it runs through the Chrome browser, you have to have Chrome running. So if you shut down your PC or something like that, it's not going to run. And the free tier only supports local alerts since it only runs locally. So you can get a pop-up message, you can get it to play a sound. If you sign up, you can have it email you. They do have a paid tier in which your alerts will run offline, so they're not actually running through your browser, but we're trying to keep things free here. So I would use them, I would use Distill for your local alerts while you're sitting at your computer, and then use the stock tracking apps when you're not paying attention. Now there are Twitch streamers that are doing nothing but displaying bots rolling through inventory for various products on various sites. So if you have the time to spend and you don't mind staring at a screen that doesn't do much most of the time, you can actually just watch somebody else's bot plow through all of these sites and all these products, and when you see one land, jump on it. That seems like an overly laborious way of watching for stock, but it is an option. In addition, there's a subreddit called Build a PC Sales that's usually pretty good about posting stock notifications shortly after they're found. You want to sort that subreddit by new, and if it's a really hot product and you're not refreshing very quickly, by the time you see it on the subreddit, it's probably sold out. And the final tip is to be persistent. Even if you set up stock alerts, even if you set up your local stock watchers through Distill, even if you're watching the subreddits and Twitch bots, you're probably not going to get the first card that pops up. You're probably going to get one or two alerts that you're just not there in time for, or you don't notice in time, or maybe you even get through the whole checkout process and they send you a message that your order's canceled. You're probably not going to land the exact item you want on your first try. But stock is continuously being refreshed. As more and more enthusiasts get their hands on these cards, the demand is going to go down, and eventually you'll get the card you want. It's just whether you need it now or whether you can wait a month, or 2, or 6. So those are my hints and tips on how to beat the scalpers and get your hands on this latest gear. So in the comments below, I would love to hear some success stories from you. What gear did you get? What strategy did you use to get it? Or maybe you had a near miss and it didn't quite work out. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you like my other videos, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one, hopefully with some new CPUs and GPUs.